Montreal, the everyday, and the extraordinary. The Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800.
Trudy Mason sitting in again this week. We are looking at real estate and the way things work here, buying and selling real estate in Quebec, because Quebec Solidaire is calling for a big reform. It sees some major flaws in the way the real estate industry works in Quebec. It says that sometimes the best interests of consumers are not properly protected. Here to tell us more about the policy and the proposals, Guillaume Cliche-Rivard, Quebec Solidaire M&A for Saint-Henri, Sainte-Anne. Bonjour, hi, Guillaume.
Hi.
Tell us why Quebec Solidaire decided to take a closer look at real estate.
Well, these days, obviously, the housing crisis and the cost of living crisis is on everybody's lips, and there's it's very important for all of us to examine everything that can be done to put less pressure on consumers and on everybody. And I think housing is something we need to look forward. And this is true for the rents, obviously for the apartments, but also for people buying or changing houses. And I think there is something that must be looked upon with regards to real estate. And I think it's a debate that needs to start as much as we're having it for rent increases or other surfaces of this sector of the economy.
What have you identified as flaws in the current system to your mind?
Something that jumps to mind or comes to mind is with regards to what price is presented and the commission towards that price that some real estate agents are receiving versus the final amount of how much the house was sold. There is sometimes a big difference. There's a huge increase, sometimes between 50, 60, 70K is different between what's presented and what finally is being the final cost, the final price. And the commission of those real estate officers, agents are directly impacted by the final cost. So we truly believe that those numbers should be set at the price which is presented online and not with the price which is finally set by the final offer, which would directly increase or put some limitations towards this increase of price between what is finally presented and finally sold. We saw some household presented at $400,000 finally being sold at $500,000, and the commission is skyrocketing for those commissioners, and we believe this should be directly regulated. Are
you implying that it is in the best interest of real estate agents to encourage bidding wars because they're going to get a slice of the final sale price, and so they're not really working on behalf of sellers? Is that the implication?
I don't want to go towards intentions, and I know extremely well competent and people that have very good faith in this sector. I really respect the work they're doing. I'm just speaking of facts. The number is going to change. If you're selling a house at $400K or $500K, your salary is going to be directly impacted. So I understand them. So there are some regulations by their board. I understand they're doing their best, but it's also the work for the government to look into it and for parliamentary officers and M&As to look into this. And honestly, here is not the idea is not to point fingers. The idea is to make sure we get the best interest of everybody at heart. And of course, like in every sector of the economy, some people are badly intentioned. I wouldn't say it's the majority, of course. I think those people are hard workers for the most. But it is for us to look into this and to decide, well, maybe the commission should stop at the presented price and not after some bidding wars. And I think everybody would be a beneficiary out of it.
What would happen then, as one of our texters asks, if the final sale price is actually below asking?
It's a very good question. We're not seeing this very much these days, to be frank. And in what we did assess, it was since 2020 quite the opposite. It sells a lot higher sometimes than what is presented. I mean, if it's lower, I believe the problematic of the bidding wars is not, it's not one that is going to happen. So, I mean, I think we would continue in following this increase. It would be still being negotiated between the seller and its agent, obviously. But what we're really saying on the ground and seeing on the ground statistically is quite the opposite. That it's more often 40, 50, 60, 70 Ks up from what is presented versus the contrary.
What other protections do you think buyers and sellers need?
There's been, and here we want to open the conversation, there's been a real estate agent that is now offering 1.25% commission rate versus what could be individually between 2 and 3% per agent, which leads to 4 and 5% of the price for both officers. It seems like he's trying to push, and I find this very courageous, for the normal rent or the normal fare to be reduced. And this guy that is selling houses now, he's saying he's selling about 40 houses a year. He's still going to make $300,000 out of his business, even if he reduces his commission by half. He would normally be taking 2.5. He's open to take 1.25. And it seems like he's still making a lot of money for the work he's doing. So I'm not yet ready, and we're not ready yet ready to say we should directly regulate those. But I think this opens a very serious conversation as to considering that the housing prices doubled in the last 10 years. Maybe it's now time to review as well what was the industry's classic rate for the last 10 and 20 years. And it's maybe time to open this conversation to have a maximum of fare that can be taken by the seller. Again, what I'm saying is it's important for us to open that conversation, open this discussion, and we're seeing that some real estate officers are doing it for themselves. And I think this opens the market and brings important questions with regards to those remuneration.
You're also calling for greater transparency. Do you think that not enough information is released about commissions and the way real estate agents earn their pay and that type of thing, that there should be more? Where do you see the lack of detail?
We never, as a society, we never lose when there's more transparency. And this is true for everybody in every sector. And one thing that we're looking at is when there's a bidding war, nobody knows how much the other is offering. And sometimes you get and you have to offer a lot more than what is actually asked by the other seller. And this brings important inflation and brings it difficult for new families to afford their houses afterwards. So, I mean, for example, if there are 2 or 3 or 4 buyers and one has brought an offer that is $1,000 or $200 more than what is currently being offered, nobody knows if how much it is. So sometimes people will bid $10K extra, $20K extra, when this was not necessarily the amount they should have been paying. So I believe if we would open those bidding wars to be public as to the numbers that is offered, we would get the appropriate price, and everybody's capacity of payment would be better well respected. So this is something we're also looking at to make sure to prevent those unnecessary 20, 30, 40K that has been given by some families when they're trying to buy a house for the first time.
We have been speaking to Quebec Solidaire M&A for Saint-Henri-Sainte-Anne, Guillaume Cliche-Rivard. Guillaume, thanks for your time.
Thanks. Have a great day.
After the break for traffic, we are going to get to the other side of the coin from the Quebec Professional Association of Real Estate Brokers.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoos, All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Debate, interviews, and breaking news. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Well, a minute ago, you heard Quebec Solidaire pitching its idea of a closer look at the real estate industry as it represents buyers and sellers. So what Quebec Solidaire is basically pitching is more transparency around the commissions that are charged, how the commissions are set. It worries about, for example, price wars where families end up feeling that they have to pay tens of thousands of dollars more in a model where the real estate agent benefits if that happens. So some questions about whether real estate agents are always working in the best interests of buyers and sellers. Here to tell us about the industry, the Quebec Professional Association of Real Estate Brokers, and this is the person responsible for government relations and public affairs, Julie McClatchie. Welcome to CJAD.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe just give us a backgrounder right now for folks who have never bought or sold a home. The industry, is it entirely self-regulated right now on the question of commissions?
Well, Quebec already has one of the most regulated real estate brokerage system in North America, with mandatory licensing, professional oversight by the SAAQ, mandatory disclosures, inspections, continuing education, and a compensation fund for consumers. So the Quebec industry is very much regulated and is very much is one of the safest systems within North America.
But I was asking in particular about commissions. Is it self-regulated on commissions?
So commissions are directly negotiated between the broker and the client.
And what's the ballpark these days?
So they will tend to vary between 4 to 5% usually on cost.
And that's on the final sale price. Quebec Solidaire was making a point of this because it feels the commission should be based on the asking price so that there's no motivation to encourage a bidding war.
So what Quebec Solidaire is proposing at the end of the day is addressing the affordability crisis, which we 100% agree on. We share the objective of making housing more affordable and accessible for Quebecers. We simply differ on the diagnosis. So the biggest challenge today is in real estate brokerage is the fact that we simply aren't building enough homes to meet the demand, that construction costs are high and financing conditions are tough. And more than anything, socioeconomical conditions are getting rougher for a lot of Quebecers. And those are the structural issues that are driving the housing prices, the housing market to jump. If we don't address the supply shortage, the reform to the brokerage industry alone, we won't solve the affordability crisis.
What is the recourse of a buyer-seller who feels that the real estate agent did not, quote unquote, earn the commission or, charge too much for the services that were actually rendered? You're talking about a compensation fund for consumers who are disgruntled. Does the industry weigh in on questions like that, disagreements between consumers and real estate agents when it comes to commissions?
Yes, so there are legal measures that consumers have, and again, our industry has a professional oversight by the SAAQ, which is mandated by the government to address such litigations when the matter is at hand. Quebec
Solidaire mentioned this prominent real estate broker who is openly advertising, pushing his own commission lower, one at 0.25%. And I have a feeling, and from what I've read, there's a little bit of an industry backlash against that, almost as if it's unfair competition. Is that how the industry feels? You said that the commissions are negotiated.
Exactly. So the commissions are negotiated. The broker is more than, he can do exactly as he pleases. And at the end of the day, even if in his own words has mentioned that this is nothing against the industry or nothing against other brokers. And from within, we have felt no major backlash. I think there was a fear from a specific company where it might have been a marketing stunt or something of the sort. And I think this is where the distance came from. But as far as within the industry, there's no particular backlash.
does Quebec solidaire have a point about a lack of transparency and a lot of people just not understanding how commissions are set, what real estate agents do? I mean, we have a text in from someone who I guess is a real estate agent. Our dues and mandatory courses and our real estate agency costs are about $25,000 a year. So, implying that they do a lot, they deserve their commission. But do people understand that? Is that maybe why you have Quebec solidaire getting a bit of traction with its call for more transparency?
I believe, once again, the broker is the person that's going to accompany the client with probably one of the most important transactions in their lifetime. And in Quebec, in the province, we have done multiple surveys addressing client directly and asking, have you been satisfied? Have you been aware? Have you been informed by your broker throughout? And have you been followed throughout this transaction? And 98% of Quebecers that have answered being satisfied with the service that were provided and with the transparency. Now, where we think Quebec solidaire brought up also the issue of transparency was when it came to bidding wars. Anything that came up to bidding wars, making brokers potentially more wanting to put up the prices, wanting to have a higher commission. And what Quebec solidaire proposed was to have transparent bidding wars, so knowing what the other person was proposing so that you could upbid or be aware of what the prices are. Now, what we're answering to that is the only thing that this has done in the past, and this has proven, is that only the richer consumers, only the richer clients will be able to win those bidding wars and get to a better, more comfortable bargaining position. Now, does this help the average Quebecer wanting to put down a fair price? I think the only thing that it will do is encourage people with more means to bid higher so that the average Quebecer has less access to housing. So as far as
that's in a hot market. That's in a hot market.
Which we are and have been for a little while.
I had the experience recently with a particular cruise line where they have this procedure that you buy your cabin, you pay for your cabin, but you're offered the ability to bid on an upgrade to a better cabin. The problem is you don't know what anyone else is bidding. The company it has a little meter that tells you if your bid is fair, is good, is excellent, or whatever. So, and you immediately get feedback once you file your bid, that, you've been outbid, but they don't tell you how many cabins are available. So you don't end up finding out until the very last minute. We lowballed our bid. We got our upgrade. So I have a lot of sympathy for people who want more transparency about bidding because I don't want to bid $10,000 extra on a house when there's only one other bidder and they've bid an extra $2,000.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And I think that at the end of the day, when the bidding is when not knowing the price of the other bids, what this allows to do is for you to bid based on your own financial capacity and not based on what the other person is offering, pushing you or putting pressure on you to put more money that you might not have initially felt comfortable putting down. Now, if I can meet up Quebec solidaire somewhere, that every industry should be reviewed periodically, and we're always open to discussion to improve consumer protection. And this is where maybe the bidding wars and the transparency comes in. But what we're saying is that we have to be careful not to suggest that brokerage is the cause of today's housing affordability crisis, because the evidence clearly points somewhere else. The supply is not sufficient. Construction costs are very high, and socioeconomic situations are not where they're meant to be for people to have access to the market.
All right. Julie McClatchie, thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours. Have a good day.
Julie McClatchie, Government Relations and Public Affairs Advisor at the Quebec Professional Association of Real Estate Brokers. When we return after the 10:30 update on In Transit, we're going to tell you about that road safety campaign for the construction holiday that the SAAQ has put together. We had 5 deaths over the first weekend of the construction holiday. That does not bode well. Stay tuned for that.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. We're coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them. It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
The Elias Macko Show. On demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Construction holiday here in Quebec. Always a busy time on the roads because you have so many families traveling. Also can be a deadly time on the road, and that's why the SAAQ has put together a special awareness campaign. It looks as though this is going to be badly needed this summer. We'll get into that in a moment.
When the news breaks, be the first to know with CJAD 800.
Quebec has about 150 active forest fires. Most are in the western part of the province. SAAQ says recent rains have helped, but they expect hot and sunny weather this week to fuel more fires.
Get it first with breaking news emails sent to your inbox. Sign up today at CJAD800.com.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
DA.
La STN vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
This is your stop. In Transit with Elias Mackos, CJAD 800.
Start of the construction holiday. Always a lot of excitement here in Quebec because so many families have time off. So many families have travel plans. And for a lot of people, it means taking to the roads in their private vehicles. Sometimes they're towing campers or boats. They're headed off on long road trips and so on. It's just a busy time on Quebec's highways. And it is always of concern to the SAAQ. It's always of concern to the police forces because just about every year we get a release saying we're going to be doing special monitoring and speed control, traffic control operations on the highways to try and keep a lid on what can be a dangerous time because it is so busy. Here to tell us more about what the SAAQ, the Auto Insurance Board, is doing with its awareness campaign this summer is Simon-Pierre Poulin, spokesperson for the SAAQ. Simon-Pierre, welcome to CJAD.
Good, thanks for having me.
Tell us about the white hearse.
Yes, I'm driving a white hearse all across the province to remind people that you're always one distraction, one drink away to end up in the hearse. But we don't want to be sinister and dark about it. The hearse is all covered in white vinyl, and I'm traveling across Quebec with Sharpie pens, and I'm asking people to sign the hearse to pledge to drive safely. So we're reminding people that all those deaths that you were mentioning, those dramatic collisions, most of them can be avoided. Most of them are due to human behaviors, things that we have control over. I hate the word accident. Accident, it sounds like something's falling from the sky, and no, it's not an accident when you drink, when you're speeding. So that's what we're telling people. Reduce your speed, look on the road, and don't drink while you drive. If we do this, we will reduce the death toll and avoid those dramatic, catastrophic collisions that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I guess we could call them just bad decisions a bad decision happened on Highway 20. But all joking aside, that was a terrible accident that we were talking about in the news this morning about the parents and child who were killed in a head-on crash. One other child survived, so that child is now an orphan. And the head-on crash was caused by someone who didn't want to wait on a 2-lane highway for a car to slow down to make a right turn, and so crossed a double yellow line into the oncoming lane to pass, and ended up causing that collision, that fatal 3-person dead. It is heartbreaking. Have you heard any stories since you started with the white hearse about people who have experienced this type of thing?
Daily. Most of the people, they see us, they smile. I mean, we're here to save lives. We're welcome everywhere. For some people, it's more emotional. You know, I had a man sign in the hearse, and his brother lost his life last week. And it's a similar accident. Face to face, someone was drunk driving, hit the car, his brother died, and it is so tragic. And again, this story and the one you were just talking about, avoidable, preventable. Those lives could have been avoided. And when it's winter time, say you have an ice storm, icy roads, reduced visibility, what you gonna do? You're gonna go slower. We adjust the way we drive to the conditions. Right now it's the exact opposite. It's beautiful outside. It feels like the sun never sets. We're lighthearted, we're happy. These are the contexts in which we take risks. We go faster, we take a little drink, and those behaviors kill.
What has the reaction been? First of all, where have you been so far, and where are you going?
Well, we started in Montreal, then we went in Sherbrooke. We were at close to the SAAQ in Quebec City, the Festival d'été. We saw a lot of people from Martin Garrix. And yesterday we were in Saguenay and Chicoutimi. And as we are talking right now, I'm in the lineup waiting for the ferry that will take us from Saint-Simeon to Rivière-du-Loup. We're going to be in Rimouski tonight, and then back to Quebec City. Well, we're going everywhere. It's a road trip, and if you're on the road in the next few days, there's a good chance you see us.
How many clicks are you going to be doing as you try and reach as many Quebecers as possible with your safety message?
Well, I hope as much as possible. Honestly, there's hundreds and hundreds of signatures already on the hearse. It's not, you cannot avoid us. Like, it's very obvious what we do and why we're here for. People look at us everywhere. That's the deal. And the mere fact that we're having this conversation right now proves that it's working. We're doing prevention, but of course prevention alone is not sufficient. You know, some people, they listen to me right now and they be like, okay, I will reduce my speed. I will have good behaviors and I want to save my life. Good, perfect. Most people will think this way, but some people will speed anyway, you know. So we need control. We need police on the ground, and the SQ and other police across the province are intensifying their presence in the next few days, few weeks, because it's a very deadly moment of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if we're being honest as drivers, if we're being honest, we know we make bad driving decisions sometimes. We know that yellow light is a little bit stale, but we're in a rush and we're going to go through it anyway. Or we come up to a stop sign near a school, but you had a bad day and you deserve to get home. We feel we're entitled to break the rules, to bend the rules. And if we were honest with ourselves, we would admit we need reminders. But I think a lot of people, I'm a very good driver. I'm always a good driver. I'm a safe driver. Well, you know what? Chances are you're not. Chances are you're just probably average like the rest of us, and you make mistakes like the rest of us.
Totally. You pointed very good examples. You know, when we're thinking speeding, sometimes we think about what the media talk about, very spectacular, impressive 200 kilometers an hour interception on the highway. Of course, don't do this. But who does that? It's so little, it's not common. What is common, and if you look at the volumes of deaths, the zones where speeding kills, is zones of 50 kilometers an hour and 30 kilometers an hour. That's where people will maybe banalize going a few kilometers over the limit. But think about it. Like, there's an engineer. There are people that are experts that calculated what's the safe speed. They did already all the calculations. You just have to follow it. If it's 30, there's a reason for why it's 30. So you're thinking school zone, construction zone. Also, yes, it's the highway, but there are people physically on the highway. Reduce your speed. Respect that limit. It's there for a reason. And again, during this period, the construction holidays, 3 deaths out of 4, speed is involved. So reduce your speed. And I want to talk specifically to the people who do some motorcycle. There's a sharp increase in the death toll of motorcyclists in the last year. And again, speed is one of the main causes, the most frequent causes of accident for motorcyclists. A motorcyclist who goes too fast is a motorcyclist who die. So let's think about that. If you want to go speeding, you go to a racetrack. It exists. It's legal. Go there. Don't use the road, the public road, as a racetrack. It will cost your life.
Simon-Pierre, I wish you safe travels.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the awareness and the prevention, and have fun. I'm not the police for fun. Drink as much as you want. Just take your car. Don't take your car afterwards. So have a good one and be safe.
All right. Simon-Pierre Poulin, spokesperson with the SAAQ. If you see the white hearse on a Quebec highway during the construction holiday, it's probably Simon-Pierre in it. And maybe you can give a friendly wave and a thumbs up to indicate that you've heard the message. It's a safety on the roads message.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app. Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
We found out last week that the feds are ordering a new trial in the case of Daniel Jolivet. 33 years ago, he was convicted of a quadruple murder that he has always maintained that he did not commit. It took place in 1992 in a condo on the South Shore. 2 men with links to organized crime, François Leblanc and Denise Lemieux, were found shot to death, and there were 2 innocent bystanders as well, 2 young women, Catherine Morin and Nathalie Beauregard. So Jolivet admits that he had a criminal past at the time, but he maintained his innocence and said he was not responsible for the murders. He ended up being convicted and sent to jail. He has been out on bail awaiting the outcome of this challenge for a number of months now, and there is going to be a new trial. The federal government was being careful to say, not deciding guilt or innocence on our own. We are sending this case back to court for the courts to decide. Telling us more is the vice president of an organization who has done a lot of work on this. It's called the Innocence Project, and Nicholas St-Jacques is our guest. Nicholas, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
What raised suspicions that this was a possibly wrongful conviction?
Okay, so the evidence that was presented by the Crown at the trial of Mr. Jolivet was based mostly on the testimony of a cooperating witness. And, there were some evidence around that, but basically the conviction was founded on that testimony. And that cooperating witness was said during the trial that Mr. Jolivet confessed to the crime the next morning. They were in a restaurant, and Mr. Jolivet would have told him that he killed the 4 victims. And we found, during the process, it took many decades, to find all the buried evidence, but we found evidence that showed that Mr. Jolivet wasn't with the cooperating witness the next morning to confess the crime. There were indications it was somewhere else. And we also found a lot of evidence that discredited the credibility and the reliability of the testimony of that cooperating witness. On top of that, we also found that there were evidence that showed that there was an alternative suspect that wasn't disclosed to the defense at the time of the trial, and that was known to the police officers that conducted the investigation into Jolivet's case at the time. So there was a lot of evidence that wasn't provided, and Mr. Jolivet, at the end of the day, decided not to testify during his trial. But had he known all that evidence, that supported his testimony, he would probably have testified during the trial, and I believe that the jury would have rendered a different verdict at the time.
He has said that he does want that pronouncement not guilty. He doesn't just want charges to be dropped or some excuse, it's been too long. He wants the exoneration to clear him on this case. Does he remain that determined now?
Oh, he is. He has been determined for 3 decades. He's been saying he's innocent from the very, very beginning, and he told us that all the way. You could have decided during that time to say, well, you know what, I did it, and pass in front of the review board, and say try to get his freedom earlier, but he always maintained his innocence. And the reason why a victim of a miscarriage of justice want to have the words, acquitted or not found guilty by a judge is because, they've been fighting for their innocence all these years, and they've been saying to everybody they know that they're innocent, but they want a judicial recognition that they are innocent. They don't want the charges to be dropped and leaving, the end of the case in a blurry situation. They want everybody to know they're innocent and that the judge actually said they are.
You mentioned the key testimony from that person who alleged that Daniel Jolivet confessed to him that he had committed the murders. That individual is, and you mentioned a credibility problem in your view with the testimony of that individual. That person is a former cop named Claude Riendeau, who was a former cop because he became a criminal. He turned to organized crime. Then he went back and became a police informant. So he's the person on whom the testimony hangs. How is he still alive? This was more than 30 years ago. Are there witnesses still living? Can the case be successfully tested in court so long afterward?
It's going to be very difficult to do so if the Crown wants to go forward. I know a lot of different witnesses in the case are dead as of today, including the alternative suspect that we found. In the case of Mr. Riendeau, I believe he's still alive, but what we have to know about him is that his agreement with the government, according to which he would testify with some benefit, was actually canceled because he did not respect some of the condition of the contract. So it would be very surprising today to see him come to testify against Mr. Jolivet, given that he doesn't have any link with the government for many, many decades as of today.
So, i.e., he isn't being paid anymore.
He isn't being paid, and not only that, they also usually benefit from different things. For example, they would not be charged for their offenses, or they would get earlier freedom for offenses that they committed. So there are many, many advantages that they could receive. But in this case, in the 1990s, the agreement was canceled. So I do not believe we're going to see him again. But and on top of that, as we know today, there's so many indications that show that he actually lied at Mr. Jolivet's trial that I don't believe the Crown would like to have him as a witness today.
Is it then possible, in your view, that the Crown will just throw in the towel on this one and say we will not prosecute again?
Well, they'll look at all the evidence. They have to make sure that there's no piece of evidence that they forgot or anything like that. And I understand the process. But again, as I said, it would be a very difficult it would be very difficult for the Crown to go ahead with this case, given the time that elapsed, and also the fact that the evidence was not that solid when we look at the case today.
The alternate suspect that you've identified, of course, we're not going to get into any names. You say that the person is dead. Was this person also in organized crime circles? Is it, what underpinning do you have for your argument there?
Oh, okay. Well, it was a part of organized crime at the time, and police officers at the time knew about him. We even have a note in the file that that was not disclosed at the time of the trial. A note from a police officer who wrote that this person is bragging in the illicit world. I would say, put it like that, is bragging about having killed the victim. So he was saying to everybody he actually killed the victims, and that was not investigated further at the time. We found evidence later on with the Innocence Project that shows that person was probably involved in he probably had in his possession cocaine that was found or that was coming from the scene of the crime in the days that followed. So he was, and we have also indication that he was probably out of sight for a certain period of time that corresponds to the time that the victim were killed. So if you put all that together, that person was, probably involved in the commission of the crime and should have been the target of the investigation at the time.
Sometimes it happens that people like that end up going to jail for other crimes. Did that individual spend any more time in jail for any other crimes?
Not that I know of.
You see, if he's dead now, so you can't hold him to account for that, but it would have been a comfort to know that he had spent time behind bars for other crimes, so at least he lost his freedom, even if he wasn't convicted of the murders, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I know. I understand you. Yeah, you're right. But in this case, I don't think he was convicted of something else, or if he was, I don't believe he spent a significant amount of time in jail. How soon are you expecting the decision from the Crown as to whether it will proceed? The Crown already reviewed the case last year. They did a thorough investigation into the case, and they took a position in June 2024, according to which the evidence was not disclosed properly, and it had an impact on the trial and on the fairness of the trial. So they reviewed the case already. So I believe that it's not going to take long. Again, I don't want to talk for them, but probably a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. They said a couple of months, would probably be a more accurate estimate. But I don't believe it would take like 8 or 9 months, to review the case, because given my experience of what I've seen in the past, this case is not complicated at this point, because they already reviewed it. All right. Well, thank you for the update, and we'll await word. Thank you so much. Nicholas St-Jacques, Vice President of the Innocence Project. After the 11 o'clock news, we'll be getting an update on the wildfires that are burning in this province, and we'll get some reaction to the statements by certain someones in the U.S. that Canada is mismanaging its forests, and it better get its act together or the U.S. will step in and do it for us. That's all coming up after the news.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeart radio station.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.